Are we live? Is this working? Hello? Mom? Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Yeah, we're good. No, we're not good. My camera's not there. Hey! It's me, but not me. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for joining me, folks. I'm probably, the camera's gonna pop up here in like a couple of seconds. There it is. There we go. We're back. Okay. Zoom out a little bit though. Get too close. Yay! What's up, everybody? How you doing? Good to see you all. It's another day. The day that they like to call Friday. Music's pretty high. There we go. Welcome in, nerds. What's up? How you doing? How's your day treating you? How's your week going? It's been a time and a half for this fellow here. Hey, thanks for sending out an anonymous tip to start us off. Whoever you are, or anonymous subscriber. Sorry, I have not reset any of these stats and stuff. I've got good news, folks. I've got great news. To those of you who helped us last stream towards our goal, we reached half that goal, and we were able to get our motherboard. So I am now back to having 2 PCs, and we no longer have to worry about ridiculous lag and crazy performance issues and all that jazz. We're back to our normal stream. Still working our way towards hopefully replacing the GPU that burnt out, or whatever the heck might have happened to it. I think its soul just felt like it had accomplished its goal and passed away, the 1080 Ti. God bless all the 1080 Ti's that are going out this year, last year, next year. It's about that time for them, and I'm happy for them. They had a good life. Like, one of the best life cycles, I think, of any graphics card ever. So thank you, everybody, for contributing towards that goal. That was huge. Nerfly, you like the shirt? Not a bad shirt, dude. It's pretty soft. It's not. I think we got it over here in Turkey. They make great shirts out here. Fantastic shirts. Mrs. Tomato is not in this one for today. As you can see, she's reporting live from our 6-year-old niece's birthday. I am sad day. I am not there, but I will get to celebrate her birthday at some point. Everybody give a happy birthday shout to our lovely niece. And hello to everybody who's in here. Ananzi, my man, thanks for holding down the mod game over there on Twitch. Appreciate you. Maverick, good to see you, my dude. Also, doing the big business. I appreciate you both. Thanks for being here, holding guard, keeping fast. Yui, good to see you in chat. How you been this week? Saint Dakin, good to see you. Abs, Moo Daddy, welcome in. Nerfly holding it down alone on YouTube right now, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I can't see it, but it looks like you're the only one who has chatted. I may have missed a couple of messages. Shifty and Drillbit, and Fola are all there. How dare I? Maverick's also over there. Not completely alone. Just a little bit alone. Yeah, we're gonna go over the flight model today, folks. We're also gonna look at this new Prowler, behind the Prowler, and talk about how things are changing again in the flight model. This is following up on the same change we talked about back in December, but now they're getting a little more detail in there, and I gotta say, thank you very much. I skimmed the podcast, or I skimmed the talk. I just did a podcast with Ferrister talking about some of the stuff that we did hear about, and I am excited for this. This sounds good. Now I know everybody's been telling me, not everybody actually, it's like 1 in every couple hundred people, 1,000, I don't know. Every once in a while somebody comes out and they're like, hey, Space Tomato, you're so negative. You're so negative now. You're gonna love this one. All right? I'm positive at this one. Like only 15% of the time I am. That being said, I probably will say something that's slightly negative, so hopefully it doesn't taint the whole episode for you. But I like what we're seeing from the flight model. I mean, I didn't have problems with master modes. I kind of did not enjoy the transition over, but I wasn't of the mindset that it absolutely needed to change for the game to move forward. The things that they are changing certainly sound like a really, really nice time, though. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Pugilist. Been doing night shifts, be enjoying the pod and the jump ship recommend. Did you try jump ship? Have you played it? If you're into it, let me know. I haven't gotten to get as deep into it as I've wanted to at this point. But I'm looking forward to trying it out next week, I hope. On stream. Good to hear them acknowledge that heavy fighters are underperforming. Hey, didn't I hear your name get mentioned in the episode, Caveman? Happy birthday, Tiny Tomato. Let's talk about how they said F my F8C and spit on my family name. They're disowning the family. Not even disowning, they're casting it out. You are no longer allowed in this circle. Filthy F8. We only like 7s here. Happy birthday to niece. Happy birthday to niece. Happy birthday, dear niece. Happy birthday to niece. And many more. Many, many more. She's a great person. You always negative downer CIG shield defender. Bruh, opinions are crazy. Opinions are absolutely wild. They're hard to hear. Drive me nuts. Tried the jump ship demo with your friends. It'll be a day one for you for sure. Hell yeah. Moo Daddy, jump ship is a W. See, dude, I like talking about jump ship right now because I can be excited for it without being called a shill at every positive statement. Thank you. Thank you. Give it like 5 months of being excited for it, and then we'll have to tone it back a bit. But it's genuinely, it looks like just pure good, you know, chaotic good. Is it Friday the 13th? Look at that. What was I thinking building up a new computer on Friday the 13th? Is there like some wood to knock on around here? Oh. Sorry about to knock that over. Spacecraft game is looking interesting. It is. It is. It's looking more interesting than I thought originally, and it sounds like it's actually supposed to release this year. That's one that maybe we take a look at that right now. Thank you very much. Before we get into Star Citizen stuff. Yo, Anonymous! Who are you? Just gifting out subs. Prophet of Trout, Caveman, Takowski. Congratulations, guys. I don't know what for. A subscription to this channel is just a scarlet letter of being a shill lover. But hey, you know, it keeps the stream going at least. Thank you for that. All right, let's talk. He is anonymous. He is. All right, let's look at the new ship and then we will jump into the flight model updates. The Prowler utility. Honestly, I have nothing really to say going into this one. I am interested in hearing how they want this to kind of become a useful ship to people. And I don't know, maybe there's a reason this is coming into the game and they're going to do something tricky in 4.3. Who knows? Let's see.
The Prowler utility is a brand new dedicated cargo ship with enhanced stealth abilities.
Oh, see, now that's an animation. That is an animation, my friends. Can we just...
With enhanced stealth abilities.
It trades some of its combat capabilities for more industrial uses.
If you don't want to get detected doing your cargo runs, this is the perfect ship.
This ship is for someone who...
I think the 404i was probably a better choice, to be honest. That, my friends, hero cross section.
Wants to do cargo, who wants to remain stealthy, and who wants to look sick doing it.
The Prowler utility is different from the baseline Prowler.
Because we had to carve out extra space for the new cargo, that meant that the belly section of the ship had to increase in size just a tiny bit.
Oh, it got that chunk. It looks like if the Banished from Halo took a Prowler from the UNSC and like added their own bits on it. No, I'm really grateful that if there was one ship that they took from the Final Fantasy series, it was the Prowler. That ship's so cool looking.
Has a ventral size 2 remote tractor beam which can be accessed from the pilot or co-pilot seat.
And that'll allow you to move cargo freely in and out of the ship. The base version of the ship has these feathers on the wings, which get deployed down when you land, but those are no longer really needed since the functionality is slightly different.
Now they just look cool.
So what we've done now is when you land with this ship, those feathers get tucked up, giving you more space to actually move cargo. With this ship, those feathers get tucked up, giving you more space to actually move cargo around the ship freely.
It features 2 size 4 guns under the wings instead of the original 2 size 5 guns, while retaining the remote turret on top with the 2 size 3 weapons.
What's the SCU on this? What did they say? 32? With the turret, that's not a bad touch. I mean, it's a defensible small scale cargo runner. I think it's hard to come up with a reason for this because we don't have the specific needs, but they could definitely make needs for this ship. Just like they could make needs for all the other ships we've gotten, but they haven't necessarily. So let's keep watching.
As the Prowler utility is a variant of the Prowler, rather than a standalone chassis, it gets to share all the cool paints between both versions. And existing Prowler owners, of course, get...
But how are they going to advertise the paints? Oh my gosh, that has rubbed people. And for good reason, like, you know, show people what they're buying.
to benefit from all the new paints that come with the launch of this vehicle.
We've updated the lighting quite a bit in order to sort of just give a little bit more feedback to the player. We've chosen to really lean into sort of the...
Bro, that animation looks so cool. Skippy, thank you so much for the membership over on YouTube. Appreciate you, dude. Much love. Hope you're having a good day, good week. Reese, good to see you, dude. Whoa. Calm down.
That we've been doing on the interior of the Prowler in general, and push that to the exterior. And so if you're coming down above someone, you just look like this incredibly aggressive silhouette with red lights flashing everywhere.
Bro! That was such a cool shot.
Aggressive silhouette with red lights flashing everywhere.
It looks like a boarding ship, dude. That looks like it's about to just use some claws to latch onto the top of the ship, and some freaking
Thank you very much.
badasses with one too many guns are gonna drop in and kill everybody else on the inside. You know, a standard Star Citizen activity, right? Introduce a cargo ship, turn it into a... Man, why doesn't this just drop Ichthys out of the bottom? This should be the drop ship from Edge of Tomorrow. You know the Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, Groundhog combat day? Like, this looks perfect to tie a cable on the back of an Ichthys and drop it out. And it's like, it's stealthy, so it makes sense. That would be sick. You think you're going to be able to store Ichthys in there? That would be cool. This is a very cool looking ship. Okay, I can't speak towards the functionality, but holy crap, they actually made it look cooler.
I think it looks awesome.
Compared to the base Prowler, we have stripped out the lower interior
by removing the main section of drop seats and replacing that with a 32 SCU cargo hold.
and added a sort of clamshell door opening on the undersides to allow easy access to the cargo bay.
Brother, oh my gosh. It's just the coolest. They could keep showing me that all video and I'll just keep pausing and annoying you guys about it.
On the undersides to allow easy access to the cargo bay.
It essentially looks like a face hugger, but it face hugs your cargo.
There's a new engineering room on the upper deck, which is previously where a component closet was, and it retains 3 of the 4 jump seats.
It looks like there's a little bit of an some graphical artifacts on the video. Yeah, I see that. That might be my capture card. Apologies to everybody watching. I'll have to unplug and plug it back in, see if I can fix that.
4 jump seats up front in the co-pilot foyer.
Oh, that's bad. Look at that. Hold on a second. I don't know what's been going on with this thing. See if I can change out the input. Did that fix it? Nope. Oh man, who knows? It might be the HDMI cable. I'll try and change that out after this video. Sorry guys.
And replaces one of those drop seats up.
Is this new armor? Is it new light armor? No, this is the Tavaran armor that came with the Prowler originally. I think it's just a different color. It's usually red and white.
4 jump seats up front in the co-pilot foyer, and replaces one of those drop seats with a storage rack for handheld cargo boxes. I'm super happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to see.
Okay, see now, that right there was what I thought the raft would be great for. Not even landing. Getting your cargo in and out without even leaving the ship, without touching the ground. That's a very, very, very valuable thing to be able to do, especially if you've got, this is before base building. Once bases are in the game and you have people that are on the base that you're coming to get stuff from, you could have a ground team that's always on the ground, and you literally never have to land. I always thought that the crane was going to do that with the raft, and I was a bit bummed that they took that away.
I'm super happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to see the feedback from players and how they end up using it in the game.
We wanted to try and come up with an arrangement of the cargo hold and the tractor beam in such a way that you could potentially swoop in and grab cargo that maybe necessarily doesn't belong to you. My dream would be to just see a bunch of people stealing cargo with this thing in the dead of night and just flying off into the distance without ever landing, which would be super sick.
I'm just super excited that we get to launch a more accessible version of the Prowler, which I think is a fan favorite visually, but it's just never had its time in the verse. So hope to see lots of.
I think that confirms that this is the fan favorite ship that they're making a variant of. I think in like the March monthly report. Honestly, all this scenario sounds really cool, and it looks like it'll be cool if it plays out. But we all know that there are quite a few mechanics that make this not as common or not possible in the way they're showing here. I don't think that's a permanent thing. I think we just need some better scanning, better understanding of emissions and stuff. And I could see where this might be helpful.
Of these flying around now.
Now, all that fun, good stuff and love being said, this is, in my opinion, clearly a ship that's been made to be sold. Like, they need to sell a ship every month this year, just about. And they needed one for Alien Week. It's the perfect time to sell another ship, and they're definitely not going to do the Raylan right now. So a variant of something existing. And the Santok Yai and the Kar-2 All are pretty unique. You could probably do like an E-War version of those, but the Prowler seems like a fairly good bet. It also looks really cool. Like, this is incredibly cool looking. Does it have a use case in game right now? Sure, you could find one. Is it enough use case to validate getting the ship for most people? No. Are they going to make more use cases that'll probably fit it? I hope so. I don't think it'll be too hard. They're making a bunch of ground locations. They're adding in missiles and turrets around these locations. All they really need to do is allow us to fine-tune emissions and give us reasons to get in and out of places with something. They can make it whatever the heck they want it to be. It could be waste. We've got dangerous radioactive toddler daycare on the surface of Aberdeen, and we can't let anybody know where this toddler daycare is, so we need you to stealthily fly in to pick up all of the waste. And, there you go. Go throw down how much money? How much is this going to cost? I'm scared to look. Oh, that's not that. No. They don't even link to it. Thank you very much. You hear that? Some radioactive toddlers need to have their service removal. $300. $300. That's an alien ship. Where the heck is it even on here? Here we go. 300. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you ever wanted to stealth run a couple packages in a game that doesn't have package stealth running right now. No, I think this is a good one to earn in game for a specific type of mission that will probably be running sometime much further down the line from this. I'm thinking, yeah, I could just see a lot of narrative opportunities for this kind of ship, but who knows what they'll actually do with it. For the amount of cargo you can carry with this, it's incredibly expensive. Look, I don't think the real world dollars that you spend on a ship will ever reflect its in-game value. I mean, that's subjective, of course, but these prices are kind of arbitrary. I mean, they're chosen by CIG to be like this is an expensive freaking ship. This thing is more expensive than the Banu Merchantman, right? That thing was $250. Look at the difference between those ships. So I don't think it's even worth looking at them from their real world dollar value. I would wait until we see how this fits into the game and decide from there. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to spend money. I'm not saying CIG should go broke. I'm not saying that anybody should be ashamed for buying ships. I'm trying to think of all the different things that these sorts of statements mean to people. And I'm just trying to say, like, the value of this ship will not be apparent right now. The value of most of these ships will not be apparent right now. And for most people, they'll probably never be worth the dollars that they put on these. So it's a cool ship. It'll definitely fit into the verse somewhere once they can have the proper content to support it. And maybe even if. But right now, you can probably just go pick yourself up a Nomad. How much is a Nomad? Or rather, how much does a Nomad carry? Nomad carries 24 SE, so not quite as much. But it's only 1.5 million UEC. You can rent it in a day. Merchantman is 650 now. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the YouTube content and your open-minded opinion. Thank you for watching and understanding it's an opinion. Appreciate it. It's a rarity packs. Not expensive enough. The funny thing is you need to make rarity taxes, but you're gonna get crap for it. Making it super expensive. I mean, that's what I'm doing, right? Talking about how expensive it is, but at the end of the day, yeah, supply and demand. The loading system for it seems awesome. I do think that there's a lot of potential in more cargo ships. That, God, this looks so cool. Oh my gosh. It's got like a little bit of Nebuchadnezzar in this. It definitely looks like a bird of prey in a shot like this. The cockpit looks sick from the bottom. These look cool. Dude. One of my favorite videos I ever made was a cinematic about the Prowler. This one might get me to make another. This is I think one of my favorite looking ships from the outside in the game now. I'm not at all interested in the functionality of it, but dang, does it look cool. I'm not gonna buy it, you crazy? I'm gonna steal this someday. Alright? Not gonna spend a single UEC on it. Hope they make a bomber variant. That'd be cool. It looks kind of like the A1 in terms of how it would lay out. The cargo loading mechanism here is a call out to just how attractive the tractor beam can be. I remember before we had tractor beams, you would look at ships like the Nomad and people would be like, why would you ever get that? But it can straight up make the whole difference in a ship like this. I mean, you don't even have to leave your pilot seat to pick up these boxes now. I think they're going to have more and more ships with better tractor beam placement like this. This is pretty solid, it looks like. But we'll have to wait until we can see it in game. Probably be testing this out next week on the channel. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. You flew it yesterday because you know a lot of whales. Oh, is it already in? How much do you think it'll be in game if the normal Prowler is 18 million? 15? Maybe? MPT, okay. Yeah, the feature that I was hoping the raft would have is exactly that, just being able to drop off the cargo that you have, which would be cool. Don't let Scooter catch you mispronouncing Carger. The Carger. Alton tried it out. The Nomad almost has 32. It's got 24 SCU. Almost there. Nomad's a beast, though. Nomad punches above its weight. Nomad's a solid choice. Not if you back it right. That would be really funny to just yoink the stuff with this thing as you're dropping by real quick. This gets me interested in how stealthy stealth could be in this game. Up until now, I've never felt at all interested in stealth because it's just kind of hard to do. Like, we haven't had a lot of good feedback on how to understand when you're stealthy, when you're not, how far away people can detect you from, all that kind of stuff. But I've seen stealth work very well for some folks. You can sneak up on a ship, you know? So the deeper they make it and the more capable they make us, with this new Star Citizen Live we're about to watch, they're talking about changing your ship speed with your components. So stealth-wise, we could see some interesting complications. Good to keep an eye on that. Speaking of Star Citizen Live, the flight model. The flight model. Oh boy. Is the cargo unscannable like on the MSR? Probably not. I think only the small room in the MSR is unscannable though. Put in a switch to turn off the cargo grid, magnetize bombs, and turn it into an ad hoc bomber. Yeah, you could just load your boxes with unrefined Quantanium and drop them at the bottom as a bomber. The Marco Inaros strategy, I would say. Only the small room off to the side, yeah. What is a ship that you think is worth every dollar? I would say the Pisces, the Cutter, and the Avenger Titan all feel like they are worth it. And then for good measure, the Aurora, because that's the $45 game package. Actually, I'm thinking of game package prices too. That's not even fair. I would say it's those three. Everything else just feels like too much money to spend on a game just to get the asset. And I'm not trying to say that anybody shouldn't spend that money. You're free to. That's how the game gets made. I'm just thinking about it from the perspective of like a casual buyer looking at a bunch of ships. Like the ship that feels truly worth it feels like one of those. And a prospector. Yeah. And maybe like a vulture or a fortune. I don't know. It's hard to answer. I mean, it's very subjective. Do I ever play the game? I do. I haven't been able to play for the last week because my computer died. We lost a GPU and a motherboard. We've got the goal down there in the bottom corner. So we were able to get the motherboard back. So yeah, I usually am playing the game on Fridays, Saturdays, and Wednesdays on stream. But this week it's been a little bit weird. Aurora is no longer a game package. Are you sure? Somebody said this the other day. Are you sure it's not just being hidden? You don't think casuals have a place in the game currently? I don't. Yeah, I don't either. This game is not casual friendly. Unless you're like the kind of casual who likes to casually bang your head against a wall. It's kind of a rough time. Unless you know, you go and look things up on YouTube and stuff. How long will you and Mrs. Tomato stay in Turkey? We will be here until September. Very early September. The Aurora game package is gone, bro. Did we call that? Did we freaking... Hold on, did we call the Aurora game package being removed before it got removed? Is it removed? Let's see. How do we find other game packages? I didn't think they were actually going to do it. I thought it was just a... Dude, it is actually gone. Why? The Mustang one is still 45. So you can still buy the game for 45 bucks. It's just not with the Aurora. What's going on? What's happening to the Aurora? So it was like... it was a very slow removal then. That's weird. What's the over-under on them introducing a new Aurora starter ship? I don't think they would do a new Aurora itself. RSI starter ship. I don't think they'd do a new Aurora. I think they would just do a different RSI starting ship. The Aurora is not really made to compete with the other starting ships we have now. It needs like at least one spot for SCU. Come on now. Oh wait, it's got the undercarriage thing. The price of the game did not go up. It's still 45. Aurora rework is likely. But why would they hide it if they were going to rework it? Supply chain issues. Big Country, you are a casual but found an awesome guild. There is going to be plenty of casuals who can play the game and have a really good time with it. Not to say it's not possible. It's just not really made for that yet. You can't even tell what missions work and which ones are broken. No? Not that you can in most games, they just mostly aren't broken. An Aurora with fold-out wings. As much as people love that idea, I don't think it would be worth making a new ship for it. We got a Scorpius already. We got a Aurora with fold-out wings at home. They're just FOMOing starter packages. But then why leave the Mustang in there? 53 USD with the Mustang? I thought it was 45. Yeah, I got it at 45. You're still getting the game, the hangar, the 10K. Or, you know, you could just get this. What, hasn't there always been tax? I mean, like, it's always been a $45 game package with a tax on top, right? It hasn't increased from that. Yeah, the glare on my computer is probably my capture card. I gotta find another HDMI cord and see if I can update that. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, we're going through computer problems right now. If you'd like to help us, we are still fundraising to try and replace the graphics card that crashed out on us this last week. Exclamation point tip will make the command pop up if you are interested. No obligation. Yeah, I know my email almost showed. Luckily, I signed in with a little username. HDMI cord wouldn't help that. Well, I don't know. It could just be that the whole capture card is broken. Either way, game packages be disappearing. We'll see if the Mustangs and days are numbered and what happens after that, but I don't doubt that Star Citizen's sell price will go up at some point. It's a matter of how they'll do it and when. All right, let's get to the flight model, but first, let me try and see if I can change out the HDMI cable. I don't know how the capture card would be a problem. We were just using it. Oh, no, I haven't used it since US. Please tell me it's another thing that's broken. I'm gonna stop. I need to stop transporting. Let me just try and change out the cord and see. Okay. Okay. Did we break anything? USB device not recognized. Oh, a USB device you have plugged in has malfunctioned. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good news. Oh. Whoa, Fola! Fola just tipped $100. Hey, man. Thank you. I am going to... I gotta fix it. Where are you? Top class PC. A serious a win from Fola. Thank you, dude. I have some reliable. There's no way that I just lost that. Oh, good. Oh, that looks normal. Yeah, that looks good. Oh fuck. Okay. I can maybe switch this to a one PC stream. Dude, this is crazy. I've never had... That fix it? Oh, it's... If I just don't knock. Should be good. But the capture card itself might be screwed. I'm so sick of buying computer parts. Computer parts suck. Fola, thank you so much for contributing towards getting all of this stuff replaced. We're gonna do more gameplay. All right. Okay. So we got that fixed. At least that's fixed. I'm not even gonna touch the capture card now. Let us take a look at flight model changes coming up. I'm very excited for this. Yeah, I've done some skimming. I've done some listening. I did have a talk with Ferrister. Check out the podcast if you haven't seen it. I don't know if it's coming out before or after this, but check it out. It's on the same channel. And yeah, I look forward to discussing what they're about to talk about with you guys. Let's listen in on the next flight model update.
For me,
Seriously, Spock is the only one you can mention.
Yes. On top of my head right now, yes.
We've asked you to mention 5 Star Trek characters, and all you can do is Spock.
Why does this have to start with a roast already? Like, is it special enough?
No, put the camera on him. He's the one.
This is not your failure. It's Rich's failure, right?
I definitely take responsibility for this. Okay?
No, the why. Dude,
Yeah.
Jeez. You got to show the person who doesn't know Star Trek.
Oh.
You're not showing the person who doesn't know Star Trek. Yogi knows Star Trek. Go to Yogi. Spock is literally the only character.
I'd just like to also give a shout out to Steph, who also, it looks like, contributed $100 towards the new equipment. Thank you as well. Thank you both. You and Vola. Really appreciate it. Anyone can join the org. That is correct.
You can mention.
Can we talk about Star Wars maybe? I'm more educated.
Okay, fine. Name 5 Star Wars characters.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Yoda, Darth Vader.
Okay, now.
He's a prequel Star Wars.
Okay, now something
course.
outside
Yeah.
of the prequels.
Outside of the prequels,
Come on,
Luke.
Luke.
Yan Solo, Layla.
Layla?
How's the princess name in English?
Leia.
Layla.
The editors-
That's fine. Princess Layla works.
I'm just
All right, now
space here.
name 5 songs that Darth Vader composed.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. The Passion of Matteo Monticelli. I'm your
Yogi's
host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never
Yogi's losing it.
seen Star Citizen Live before, what a lucky person you are. That's where we take roughly about an hour, sometimes a little bit less, out of an occasional week these days, to sit down with our developers and chat things related to Star Citizen, or Star Trek, or Star Wars. What other stars are you not familiar with? Starman? You ever seen Starman?
StarCraft.
I know something about Star Citizen though. That can help.
Well,
Y'all ever noticed how many amazing titles start with SC? StarCraft, Splinter Cell, Supreme Commander. Can't think of any others. No, I'm kidding. Just annoying some people out there. Star Citizen. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. So joining us on the show this week are esteemed members of our the team members who work on all things spaceships and what they do. These aren't the folks who build the
Sonic the Hedgehog.
spaceships. Those are members of our fantastic vehicle teams who build the physical spaceships. These are the folks who take those spaceships and craft them and hone them and adjust them so that they perform the way that we want them across both of our games, Star Citizen and Squadron 42. With that, let's introduce some folks, because every show is somebody's first show, including one of our guests. So Yogi, we're going to start with you. You're our old hand here. Tell everybody who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
I'm an old hand. Okay, I'm Yogi. I'm a principal vehicle programmer.
SimCity, you're right.
And roughly together with Rich, I'm leading the development of the flight model and the flight experience.
Okay, and for those people who may be hearing that term for the first time, what's a flight model?
Flight model is basically the thing that makes the ship fly the way it flies. So how smooth it is, how janky, sometimes how broken, but yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. Rich.
Yeah, so I'm basically Richard, and I'm the lead game designer on the Vehicle Experience team. So I'm kind of responsible with Yogi for the overall flight experience, turrets, just the way the general gameplay works with vehicles.
I noticed you hid your last name so people can't send you letters.
Yes.
Okay. This is Rich Tyrer sitting here.
Right, I'm going to start making loads of decisions now.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, first timer for SCL, Matea.
Hey yo, I'm Mattia. I'm a game designer 3, working with Richard on everything flight, spaceship balance related, mostly for Star Citizen these days. And yeah, that's what we do.
All right. So as we want to do on Star Citizen Live, we put a thread up on Spectrum where this one, so I'm talking to the people, we put a thread up on Spectrum and collected questions from you, the Star Citizen community. Our lovely folks here went through your questions and pulled a collection of them that they felt they could answer best during the course of today's show. So if you've submitted your question, you're like, well, why aren't they talking about this and why aren't they talking about that? Usually what that means is either we don't have the particular guest that's on to talk about that, because we certainly wouldn't want Yogi talking about stuff he's not involved in, or Matei or Rich, or that's a feature aspect that is not currently in development. The other big kind of misperception in games is that you work on all the things all at the same time. We don't. So the questions that we're going to talk about today are primarily the things that are currently in active development and that relate to the work of these 3 individuals. So right off the bat, we'll just jump right in.
Yo, how far into this are we? We're like 4 minutes into this, and you guys are still naming off SC games that don't even exist. Chat. Get help. Stop this.
Yo, Jared, looking healthy as... Oh. Thank you, Boomish.
True.
Thought it was my mom at first. What is the intended purpose for heavy fighters? Right now, they have a turn rate very similar to ships like the Connie and Corsair, but they lack the shields and firepower of those. What's up?
So, this is a question for me, yes. We have been playing with heavy fighter tuning since 3.23. Basically the master mode release, and our idea about the heavy fighter role hasn't changed much throughout the time. So basically what we think an heavy fighter is basically a heavier fighter that has lower maneuverability compared to light fighters, but increased durability and increased firepower.
The fighter that let itself go a little bit. It's okay.
That's as simple as that, right? Currently, we have retuned the entire heavy fighter class that includes ships like the F8, the New Guardian, the other Guardians, and so on and so forth, to fit a better spot. And in our opinion, the spot that now the heavy fighters actually cover, it's quite fine. We do notice that the heavy fighter class is slightly underperforming right now, though, but we think it's related more to the relationship in between cross classes rather than the heavy fighters tuning per se. So stuff, for example, like how the heavy fighter is dealing against like a medium fighter, for example, or a shipper of a bigger size, like for example a Constellation or stuff like it. So we would like to dive more into the tuning for other classes first before assessing the the overall heavy fighter tuning, and if that need to be addressed once again. So currently this is the state of the heavy fighter class in general, but we have some even more updates or like more ideas for the
more updates.
Model.
What if he had just said, yeah, you're right, the Constellation and the Corsair and those kinds of ships, we're just going to make those even less maneuverable to give heavy fighters more of a window to operate in? Would that have been an adequate answer, or would you guys prefer for them to go the other direction and just making everything a little, I don't know, more nuanced within the same profile that they already have? Because they could always just make larger ships even slower and cascade that change all the way down to light fighters, but at some point then it just starts to feel like everything is a dump truck with ice blocks on its tires. Heavy fighter should still feel like a fighter. Man, I don't know what a fighter feels like. I know fighters by how much the weapons flash in my line of sight. Okay, if there are no weapon flashes happening where I can see, then I'm not shooting. am I really doing damage if I can't see and hear it and feel the vibration through my hands? No. The answer is no. I want to feel like I'm watching a movie from inside a flashlight. No, I don't know. I don't know what makes a good fighter. That's why I'm not really a combat pilot, nor do I give advice on being a combat pilot. But I do know it should feel different from the other ships. That much is obvious.
So the current ratio on where the fighters sit doesn't necessarily need to stay this way. We have the updated flight model coming, and we're using that to basically, I wouldn't say reset, but reevaluate especially the relationships between the fighters. For example, in our perspective at the moment with the new or with the updated flight model, the heavy fighters, they just feel a little bit too tanky because they're still fighters, right? So we're currently evaluating whether or not we should make them more vulnerable, because if you compare some numbers from, for example, like Gladius versus a F8, we're looking at like a 5 times health. That is like quite a lot for a fighter class. So we're evaluating or reevaluate that once the new flight model or the updated flight model is coming online.
And when you say evaluate, that means
Feels like at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the weapon differences. Like heavy fighters can do damage to ships that medium and light fighters can't. But heavy fighters also can't really defend themselves as well against those ships. And we just don't have that nuance still in the game.
you're still making your decisions.
Yeah, sure.
about stuff.
Nothing is ever set in stone when it comes to that. Yeah.
You're asking the question whether that 5 times is right. You're not sitting here saying today 5 times is wrong.
No.
We're still looking at that. And Mattia, you make a good point about how you don't just, in order to tune the heavy fighters or any fighter class or any ship class, it's not just the work on that ship. You then have to make a pass on everything else. It's this constant kind of thing where you go through every class and then you go back through and you go through every class, then you go back through every class, and you just refine the entire field of ships over and over again. And that's where you're going to find out whether 5 times is right, maybe 5 times is right, and then things like the Connie and Cutlass need to go up to 6 or 7 or whatever. It's one of those things you're going to find it through multiple passes, which is what you guys have been doing for some time now, for being candid about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can never like really set it to a fixed thing. Like we can plan as much as we want, but whether our plans survive then reality is a different question. Also, like sometimes other things coming, for example, the upcoming armor system and so on, that will also change these dynamics and might just require some other adjustments somewhere else.
I imagine your
The armor system.
thoughts on these things actually change over time too. Like, how many years have you been here now, Yogi?
8?
7?
Yeah, it's close.
8 years.
It's close to me. I'm on 11, and I'm like, I can't remember a time when you weren't here.
I joined 2017, but gameplay since 2019, I think. Yeah.
So, I'm certain the way you thought about some of these things in 2017 is not the same as you thought of them in 2020. It's not the same you thought. I'm sure there are some things that are still the same.
Well, yeah.
But
I think details change over time a bit, right? Because sometimes you just prove that A or B doesn't really work. For example, also the idea to have a perfectly balanced game is a bit. This can be. Sure, we can go for this, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that, because the relationships of players playing, they're so complex to grasp. The hardest case we have in our combat design is same skill, same pilot, same skill, same ship, to get a fight going in a 1v1 scenario without any other external factors. This is like when you get this one right, then you probably have something that you can really work with. But it's hard to actually get to that thing, because even if you have 2 really good pro players fighting against each other, it's hard to tell which one of these is better. I mean, you can maybe count kill times or so, but there's so many factors, and that's sometimes hard to grasp. So I'm not entirely sure that we need a completely balanced game, because ships are different. Like, people are different, real-world airplanes are different, have pros and cons and so on, but you can never really balance them out completely, right? So
Yeah, like what would win? A 747 or an Apache? It depends. Pilot skill, components, master modes.
we'll see.
Well, you've just given people their first Reddit thread. We start CIG developers. I'm not sure we need a completely balanced game.
Okay, so hang on. What we're still aiming for is like we try to avoid a meta game, right? This is like something we're still trying. It will be incredibly hard, but if we have a game at some point where like almost all ship types have a purpose, where it makes sense. Also, like maybe in the value that you bought that ship for in an in-game shop or something like that, then we're probably in a good place.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's some ships are meant to be. There's progression in mind. It's not every ship is supposed to be equal. Some ships you're supposed to progress through.
Yeah.
You know, a Gladius is where the light fighter journey starts. It's not where your light fighter journey is supposed to end.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So you have to. So just by
Some of us.
the very concept of progression, not all ships can be balanced, nor should they. They're supposed to be you start here and you move here and you move here. Now, that has changed quite a bit over the years, and it will continue to change as the game continues to develop. There was one more thing I wanted to follow up on and stuff, and I lost it. Because there was a guy in the Twitch chat who was like, "Syracuse's a joke," and whatever, and I was just like, I'm like, thanks for watching.
Unsubscribing.
Let's move on to the next question, and if I remember it, I'll come back. What happened with the new quantum travel experience that we saw at CitizenCon 2953? So 2 years ago.
Ooh, quantum boost.
Okay, so at this point, the quantum experience that you saw there was exactly how it was at that time in Squadron 42. That design since then has changed a bit. Also with the requirements of the other flight model changes that we're currently doing. So in general, there's 3 parts to the new flight model. It's like the quantum experience, the updated space flight model, and the control surfaces. And all of these got changed and expanded based on the requirements that we saw. And right now, what we back then described as quantum boosting is basically has changed a little bit. So quantum boosting will be used for like the slow speed range that you use to do nav mode with, right? So if you want to go there's basically 3 speed ranges that you need in Star Citizen.
Let's say that again.
Right, so if the slow speed range that you use to do nav mode with, right? So if you want to go there's basically 3 speed ranges that you need in Star Citizen. One is to go from, let's say, one POI to another, or between planets or something like this, like where we're talking millions of kilometers, right? Then you need the range in which you're navigating within these spaces. So let's say going from, let's say you have a bubble of like 300 kilometers or so in size. You need to navigate in between there, but you don't want to fly with your SCM speeds, right? So for that, quantum boosting will be used. And then there's normal SCM speed region. So basically the thruster-based flying, which will still be limited to, I don't know, maybe 300 meters per second or so.
No, caveman craft.
So this is how it's been since they introduced quantum boosting. You can actually go back to their initial introduction of it. Sometimes they don't pop up on the. I hate trying to find that. There we go. You go back to that CitizenCon that they're talking about where they introduced it. Actually, you can go back to one earlier than this. So a whole year before that, they had Chris and Richard Tyrer introduce us to the idea of quantum boosting. And we went over this when we were talking about exploration earlier this week. There's a whole reason for it, and they described it basically the same way that Yogi's describing it.
That was the thing we were trying to follow. And I think it's a problem in the PU right now, is when you're in space, it's sort of like, you know, most of it is
it's point to point.
It's empty for you, right? It's like you spend your time around the space stations or, you know, some asteroids here around the planet. But we want to open it up a bit more and have that idea of, oh, I can detect something, I want to investigate it. So the whole sort of exploration, investigative gameplay that can happen in space now because of these different modes of travel and the scanning is going to be a huge deal.
But coming up on 3 years later, will we have the scanning in different modes of travel? I don't know. But I do think that scanning this right here, quantum boost, and the ability to save and share waypoints is all we need for exploration gameplay as most people envision it to start in this game. Obviously, we'll need value behind commodities. We'll need supply and demand in an economy. But I think this is kind of the beginning of it.
So just to call out, that's going to be the old HUD.
Yeah, that is the old HUD. That's too busy.
That's the next old HUD.
Yeah.
Earlier we were showing the old HUD.
So we've done a scan here. That's also the old point of interest, because the point of interest will be just points.
Yeah.
But basically, we've done a scan. We've got some points of interest that are, multiple 10Ks away.
And you can see the distance there. It says 13,000 kilometers on the right-hand side. So this is obviously just placeholder UI for the quantum boost. But again, you can just boost over there. And it obviously has this interactive gameplay, which obviously went into...
Yeah, and this, by the way, that's all programmer work in progress from Yogi on the quantum boost mechanism, because you're just going to have to stay in the zone to keep and boost, otherwise you'll fall.
The auto zone. I'm pretty sure I made that joke last time we watched this. Sorry. I'm very predictable sometimes. You go forward another year, and now you get to see Yogi introducing us to the actual polished version of this that was meant for Squadron 42 at the time, but really was just a look at how quantum travel is meant to work in the game going forward. So here's quantum travel itself.
And you as a player, you're responsible to counter these forces. So there is an element of failure. Okay, Brent, let's show that. And take your hands off.
God, it looks so good when it's not running at 2 frames per second as you jump. Look at the way the clouds pass it by. Like, look at this all off to the side. Oh, God. Need new pants, dude. I want that in the game. I'm so sick of doing quantum jumps and being like, wow, that planet looks so cool. Oh my God, here it comes, here it goes. Okay, now it's loaded in. Done with that. So that's normal quantum travel when you don't pay attention to what you're doing. But you'll actually see here, this is the new version of Quantum Boost that they just showed us just 1 year later after they've actually worked on it. Oh, sorry. That's still quantum travel. Quantum Boost is a much shorter version.
Quantum travel, and this is for short-range jumps. Sometimes you jump somewhere or you go somewhere, and you see the next point of interest is like 1,200 kilometers away.
Oh no! I hit the desk and it made the... Oh, gee. All right, we're good. Of computer. Anybody have a suggestion as to the new capture card we should get? Ah, man. Okay. Quantum Boost.
We're not going to force you anymore to travel that by hand. You will use a technique called quantum boosting. It's a quantum-based short-range jump for like something between a couple of 100 kilometers to like 30,000 kilometers or so. When you use quantum boosting, the process is practically the same, but the quantum bubble will not stabilize itself, so you need to be hands-on for the whole time, and the speeds are naturally, well, slower, but it's not slow, it's still quantum traveling, right? Okay, so Brent, can you boost to, oh, reinforcement needed. Yeah, let's go there, let's boost. Oh, actually, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so what Brent is currently showing here is, I think I forgot to mention, quantum boosting works in every direction. You don't need nav points.
That's like the best part of it right there. I mean, say what you will about quantum boost, what travel speed it goes at. Just being able to do this in any direction is going to be really nice.
Brent is awesome, thank you. Okay, so now please boost to reinforcements needed.
So look at how fast it is to get into a quantum boost as opposed to quantum travel, where you have to like open the bubble, wait for it to charge up and go. Watch when he clicks the button, how quickly he's off.
So if there's enough point and you boost,
you're just going. So it's going to be a lot easier to get away. And if you can do it in any direction, imagine getting attacked. How much more easily are you going to be able to get away from places you don't want to be. When you can do this, you can basically spool up and launch within seconds in any direction.
Your quantum travel system will pick that knife point to go to.
So that was Quantum Boost a couple years ago. And then we also saw it again at last CitizenCon. And this time it was really telling. Y'all tell me if you notice why this is so much different from the other Quantum Boosts. I've pointed it out before, so you guys might know this already. So these guys are boosting. It actually looked kind of like a quantum jump. Yeah, Nerfly gets it. This is... They jump from an atmosphere. I don't know if this is for the sake of just this ad of also highlighting the base building and being like, oh, this is a transition from base building to space station. But if this is accurate, the big if this is accurate, then it's a lot easier to travel around planets. And there's something to be said about skipping atmospheric travel, but I do think this allows for atmospheres to be bigger for the type of gameplay that might take place in atmospheres, while not taking a lot of time from folks who are just traveling through it. I don't know. I honestly don't know what direction they're going to take this, but it does kind of insinuate that Quantum Boost is being used a lot more liberally and freely than just point A to point B in space. So we will see. But when they're talking about Quantum Boost, this is what they're talking about. It's not necessarily canceled, but it sounds like they're really, really, really changing it to be like, if you can go slow in Quantum Boost. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll have to see how it turns out.
Boosting will be used. And then there's the normal SCM speed region. So basically the thruster-based flying, which will still be limited to, I don't know, maybe 300 meters per second or so.
No, Caveman Crafty in the Twitch chat says, in
300 freaking meters per second. I hate that. There's Caveman.
other words, that quantum video was marketing fluff.
No, it was not.
No.
No.
It was definitely real.
No. Literally just said it's exactly how it was in Squadron at the time it was recorded.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
It was all real. It was real gameplay. You can actually see that it was real gameplay because on stage, our left stick broke, and you can see that in the video because the velocity meter on the left side is constantly twitching because the stick it was all real.
Is I think I forgot to mention.
You can't see that right here.
In every direction.
It was real.
You don't need nav points.
Here's a fun question. The F8.
Sorry.
Will the F8 ever once more become a
Yeah, you can see it twitching
monster?
here.
Like
Okay,
it was
so what
built
Grant
in
is
Squadron 42 Prologue.
Going from like 0 to -2 over and over.
You try.
It was real.
Here's a fun question. The F8. Will the F8 ever once more become a mobility monster? Like it was built in Squadron 42 Prologue. As of the current moment, it feels like a flying brick and with all the agility of one. Rich, what the hell are you doing to my baby? That's what it says.
Yeah, Rich.
It's all it says.
Family, Rich.
Oh no.
I'm just reading it.
Yeah, so it's about providing a tuning that fits the archetype of that ship, and that's something we're always working towards, is giving the ship the archetype, and it's and I said it's always work in progress, and that ship in particular it's got loads of guns, it's got loads of thrusters, and as you say, not all ships have to fit the perfect progression of balance, and that's in that sense. So we're definitely looking at what the ship should be with the new flight model as well. There's going to be some more changes there, because a big thing with the new flight model is we're going to have far more tools at our disposal to make ships different. Whereas at the moment we've got tools, but we're quite limited in that context of providing ships that are quick but are sluggish at the same time. So we kind of, we're kind of in a box with the current balance a little bit in that regard. But with the new flight model, we've got more tools to give us maybe a ship that can be really quick, but actually takes a little bit longer to get there. Or the acceleration is a little bit slower, but it can move, faster.
Got that fat butt.
I do want to. You want anything you want to add, Mateo?
So we do know that at the current state, the overall heavy fighter angular velocities got decreased a little bit, but we think it's for the better. And once again, we think the feeling and the perception that we see on the player side these days is mostly related to, once again, the relation between those ship classes, right? And in our opinion, once again, what we want to reach is like a balanced and intended gameplay experience for the ship per se, right? So having a super OP, mega powerful ship, can be cool the first time that you have it, right? But after a while, when it becomes the meta and it becomes the forced choice, game design-wise and gameplay-wise, I don't think this is a good direction or either a fun direction. So what we want,
yeah, it's not healthy.
Now, of course, you're going to say that, and Twitch is about.
But that's gonna. That's gonna happen, right? No matter what. The whole point of trying to make an MMO or even any live service game is just you constantly have to fight that every month, every quarter, every year, changing things up because something does become the go-to at some stage.
Up with people saying, but what about this ship? And what about that ship? And what about that ship that are currently OP and stuff like that? And the answer is, we'll get there.
And that's a big thing about the balance is it's a continuous thing. It's moving, it's evolving all the time. And we can't tune 200 ships all in one go when we figure something out. So it has to come in steps, which is why we've done pass on the medium. It's why we've done the pass on the heavies. And then and that'll keep evolving, but we have to do it in pieces. Because we just, we can't move 200 ships at the same time.
And also,
sorry, it looks like the giveaway bot is not working. If you go to spacetomatogaming.com/giveaways, it will take you to that same link. Not sure why that's not popping up, but I see y'all on Twitch over there getting your points in, extra entries into the giveaway. And thank you, whoever just gifted out 70 bits. Appreciate you.
it's more important for us to kind of move those pieces step by step because we understand the dynamics that we generate inside the game a bit better as well. So, we get more knowledge about it. We understand how players prefer to use certain type of ship rather than others. So moving those Lego bricks in tiny blocks, it's easier than just moving one and see how it performs and then try to scale everything according to that. So that's what we're going to try to do, and what we are trying, what we have tried to do, and what we are actually doing as well with the current monthly updated patches. So we always try to deliver something to address maybe a specific issue or a specific area of the ship flight in the game.
Zodicide says, just hire more people to balance at the same time. And he's got that. He's got that. The one Twitch emoji with the kind of sarcastic face. So I think he's going to be. I think that's a sarcastic comment. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the popular culture, but no, it is one of those things where
I'm not up on the. I don't know what the kids be saying these days.
In 1 month and whatever. Plus. As I said on earlier this week to another thing, not everybody at CAG is not a monolith. You have what you think and what, you have what you think and want, you have what you think and want. Ideally, we find compromise, we find places, but adding more people will often bring in more opinions and more stuff and actually can make finding consensus even harder. So it's just one of those things where, unfortunately, hiring more devs is not the answer to everything. If you need to make another location, possibly. But if you're trying to fine tune the balance of a thing, not always the case. I want to ask two more questions about, I remembered what I wanted to talk about before. In balance. You mentioned player skill.
Yeah.
There's this thing. There used to be a guy who worked here, Vinny Sinatra. He was our QA lead back in the day in LA studio, and that guy could do things in a Gladius that I not see anybody else do. It didn't matter what ship you flew. If he was in a Gladius, he could kick your ass. And that was the thing, like the Gladius, the light fighter meta, the way that it just spoke to him. It was like this perfect match between.
Sounds like he needed to go up against all those badasses and Idrises I see in the PU. Those are the final boss.
Pilot and ship. But you don't always get that. Sometimes people, they desperately want to fly. They desperately want to fly my Superman punching ship right here because it's the aesthetic that they want, and it has the role that they want, but it's not
vibes.
Perfectly suited for who they actually are. And the comments that come from that are, oh, well, this thing is underpowered, or this thing moves slower. And like this, well, the answer is, well, maybe this ship actually isn't the one that was right for you. Maybe this other ship is the one. How do you incorporate that, and how do you manage that? This player preference and the player skill level. How does that factor into your balance plans here?
So it's really complex. So we start off with a shipping concept, and the team we work with, the vehicle team and the drone crew, and we work with them on identifying the kind of identity of that ship and what it should be and what it will be in the game. And then according to that, we're building a certain character that we think suits that ship. It could be really fast forwards, it could have really good handling, or it's really slow and clunky. We just don't know. But it depends on the ship. So we try and apply that, and then it just evolves from the loadout of the ship. It can depend on the weapons, or or if it doesn't have the weapons to defend itself, what does that mean as well? Does that mean make it really tanky so it can't fight back, but it can sustain? But all those different things that we have, all the tools we have at this disposal, create what that ship is in the game. And then from that, the players.
That honestly is why it's so subjective. Like these ships being worth their price or worth. Just like being a good ship, everybody disagrees on what makes a ship good. Some people literally just care because it has a toilet, And I think a lot of people appreciate Star Citizen because it made that. Well, they talk about making that matter. If your Cutlass Black doesn't have a toilet, does that make you choose the C1 Spirit instead? Having that little bit of detail and nuance to be able to decide whether or not a ship works for you makes it feel more personalized, makes people feel more attached to the ship. That's why I like it. It's an assumption of mine that that's why other people like it, but I do think that goes a long way in making people care about their ships. And there's not really any other game at the moment that lets you care about the small details quite as much as this.
Themselves have choices within that ship what they can have as well, and we try and
space engineers
provide as much as we can to give the players to move the ship a little bit more in that place or that place, depending on what they want. But the ship always has a kind of window that it will operate in, and it might creep into other ships if if you have different components, stuff like that. But it's always got that core identity.
And sometimes that's not going to align with each individual player and what they want it to be. And that's not a balance issue. That's a thing that happens when you've got a game with 200 ships. If I could fly around in any ship and be an ultimate fighter, I'm going to speak about me personally here. It would be the Mantis. I love the aesthetic of the Mantis. I think the Mantis could have been the coolest damn fighter ever. And that's not how it was built and whatnot. And I've tried the few times I still get into the game, whatever. I always try to fight, Mantis, and I struggle, and that's just because I love the aesthetic of it so much. I want that and stuff like that. So, but it's one of those things. It's like that's not a balance problem. No. That is simply that ship is not meant to do the thing that I want it to do, and I always have to kind of remind myself.
I mean, there is a good analogy. There's is from there was a German World War II ace which was called Adolf Galland, and he flew the Focke-Wulf 190 and the Me 109, and although one of them was better, like the Focke-Wulf was a lot better in terms of the stats. He actually preferred the BF or the Me 109 because it was just better in handling, and it just speaks to the characteristics of the ship. The ship have the characteristics. It might not be the right ship for you. Maybe you just focus so much on one ship that your muscle memory is all aligned with how this or that ship should handle, right? But this is why we have different ships, right? These are just different. Well, they give you different access to the universe. Maybe the handling is different, but then you have a big size 4 gun somewhere else. So
the second question I want we've said already, and folks are like, will you talk to us more about the flight model? We're going to do that in just a minute. This is my setup for that.
Okay.
We have done, Yogi, Rich, we have done a lot of these shows over the years. Whether it's here at SCL, whether it's on an ISC, or whether it's even a CitizenCon presentation that we put together and whatever. For a number of years now, we have said, this next thing is our thing we're waiting for. Whether that was master modes, or whether that was hover mode before that, or whether that was operator modes, whether it's flight model, stuff like this. At various points over the course of Star Citizen's now 13-year development.
The secret code for this giveaway is Guard Ya Toes. Guard spelled like Asgard.
It's been something or other that we're waiting on that unlocks the next thing. Now, and along that, it's been armor penetration. And it's been recently, we put flight blades in there, and that allows you to tune things like this. We know that crafting is coming up. Crafting is going to dramatically change how so many of these ships go, because now you're going to be able to build some version of these ships and affect their characteristics in the one that you buy. We're selling the stock versions, but people are going to be able to craft their own individual versions, and some level of customization will go into that. Is it futile to try to do any balancing along the way? Is this just?
I thought he meant feudal, like feudal lands, fiefdoms.
A waste of everybody's time to try to balance heavy fighters, to try to balance light fighters when there's so many outstanding systems still coming?
No, so I'd say it's part of the journey. And let's say we throw away everything tomorrow, we still have what we've learned along the way. And that's really important because we're constantly learning. It goes back to you earlier. I've been here 7 years, and my understanding of the game and the game mechanics has fundamentally changed in that time. And as we've built more systems and we've added more to the game, and we do know the game's not complete, but it's kind of exciting because we're building towards that, and we're always moving in that direction and learning more and getting better, hopefully, at what we do. So we change things along the way, and then we have other systems that come in and they might throw a curveball in that system that we've made, but we're learning along the way to build what we think is the best game.
Yeah, I think I can add something on that from a different perspective, because I've joined the team roughly around 2 years ago, so not a long time as these other two veterans, right? But it's very important in order to, you as a game designer in my case, but in general, I think as a developer, to have that knowledge and being able to have that experience in tuning and getting accustomed to the game, getting to know how the game is working currently. Also to understand, first of all, what can you do and what can you plan to improve the game in the future, in the long run, and also be prepared for that when the moment comes. You know what to do, you know what to expect, you know what to manipulate in order to create the right experience, right? So it's never a waste of time, and also I guess you guys want to play as well the game, right, from time to time. So playing a game that is in a better state probably is better than just a game that is not balanced at all in it.
I think there's often, over the course of the 11 years I've been here, I continuously encounter this expectation that every answer is supposed to be figured out before you start making the game, and before you start building. And that's just not how game development works. It's construction, not development. But it's always, from the player perspective, it is always incredibly challenging, because we have backers, we have players, we have citizens out there who want desperately to believe in us. They want desperately to believe that we know what we're doing. They want desperately to believe that.
Yeah, these people really want to believe that, like, we got a plan. Oh man, me laughing is not any sort of personal comment on what he's saying. I just found it funny the way that was said.
That there's a master plan and stuff, and the reality is that we know what we're doing and there is a plan, but those things change. We know what we're doing, but we learn more along the way, and those things that we learn change our perceptions. They change our ideas along the way. We have that.
This sounds a lot like a rehash of what we went over from Con 42. Just that, like, The fact this is coming up again feels like a little bit of targeted communication, not gonna lie. Like, hey y'all, be ready for things to just not be what you expected. I'm not saying that they're changing everything. It's just, this is the second time it's come up in 2 months, which is more than normal.
Plan, and then new systems come online and stuff, and that plan has to change and it has to evolve and stuff like this. And it's never an issue of not knowing what we want to do or not being able to do it. This is what game development is. It is this constantly evolving, never-ending thing to find this thing that we're all trying to build together. There's Chris's vision, there's Rich Tyler's vision, there's your guys' vision, there's everybody's vision, and it's about synthesizing that vision along the way. And it's going to change, it's going to evolve, and it can be very frustrating, both for player and developer alike. And it's just, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I feel like I want to acknowledge that.
I don't think that the vision has changed a lot, though, right?
No.
I mean, like, the one thing you can't underestimate is like engineering and design and development. It just takes time. Like, I mean, like, seriously, like 90% of all the things that player proposed that we should do better, we usually thought about these already, right? Because this is what we're doing for a living. But it just takes time to implement these. If somebody tells me, oh, please add an altimeter or something like this, then there's 15 different problems we need to solve. It's like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And those are the easy part as well, like, because
Yeah.
a lot of time player, have very interesting insight and ideas about very complex system that we can potentially put in place, but those touches such a vast amount of other features in the game, and organizing that type of work and getting everyone on board and from completely different teams, especially in a company of the size of CG, is very difficult, right? But in general, it's very difficult in video game making, so it's not a unique problem for us.
No, but being...
Dude, honestly, it always just comes back to me as they bit off more than they could chew. When I say they, I mean management. Chris, the idea behind Star Citizen is just freaking huge. And there's so many interlocking systems that how could you... The fact that they're still going is great for them. If they can actually make this a coherent space game with all these different systems working together, it's gnarly. And then they can actually balance it to make it a fun game. Dude, they deserve all the success they can get if that's the case, because it's a lot. And I hope they can figure it out.
Being difficult is what makes it worth doing.
Yeah, we've got we've got a very complex game, but that's very exciting because we are doing it different. All our systems are real systems. They function, they work, and they do real things based on real physics mechanics that happen. And
most times. There's a few exceptions.
Yeah, there's a few exceptions here and there, but most of
the physics calculate some pretty crazy things, guys.
the time that works really well for us because it's a really complex problem to solve, but actually it makes Star Citizen, I think, really unique for us. And it makes it really fun to work on.
Yogi's like, yeah, we usually 90% of the time we've usually had that
That's probably a bit
conversation.
high.
He goes, there are still plenty of times where we're being completely honest, where an idea has come from the community, and it's been like we've been there like, oh, well, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I had it first, right?
Yeah. No. I agree with Das Wheelie Cool 69420. That's a thing to do. I just call that.
We see Das really cool. I know Das really. Yeah, they bit off more than they could chew, but they keep adding more. When like you've gotten a whole bunch of candy in your mouth and you can't do anything with it. Like, you know what? I'll keep going. Whatever. Or maybe it's not candy for you. Maybe it's like broccoli or something. I'm not going to judge you. I'm judging you a little bit. Chew your broccoli, right? That's not as fun. But you got 2 cookies in your mouth. What's a third? What's a fourth? You got milk somewhere over there.
we all are we've all seen like similar, media. We've all seen similar films. We play Star Citizen because we probably like Wing Commander or Star Wars in the past and so on, right? So there is a common understanding. Star Trek, right? Yeah.
Too soon.
So I think even of some things where we would say, oh, we had this idea, it probably just came from somewhere else. We incorporate a lot of community ideas in the designs as well.
Yeah. All right. So at this point, we're about halfway through the show, Yogi. So I'm gonna turn it over to you. This updated flight model. This updated. Now, obviously,
hey, what's up, Kraken?
When the time comes, we'll probably do an ISE or something on it. But give us the lowdown on what this is and what it will entail and what you're doing right now.
Okay. So.
And I'm just gonna go get a drink if that's cool. Just there we go.
He's going for the milk.
So following the master.
Thank you very much.
We listened to we read the community feedback and
I'm sorry, Yogi. Twitch Wetsu, thank you for gifting out 10 subs to the community, to the good folks of the garden. Appreciate you. Anybody, if you just got a sub from him, make sure you hop on the Discord and take advantage of the perks you get from that. Exclusive videos, live podcast access, early podcast, all that jazz. Thank you for blessing the community. Dang it, stop selecting over there.
We had our own plans with this and basically made the next step what the rest should be. And there's 3 things which are not just the flight model, but the whole flight experience, right? So I mentioned before, we've got the space flight model, which is how ships use the thrusters. We have the atmospheric flight model, which are the control surfaces, which we also demoed in the past, but which got a quite big update now. And there is the quantum experience. So all of these things combined, they're moving the game towards the, let's say, the traversal vision that CR wants, right? Because the reason why we have nav mode at the moment, where you can go into this mode where you can reach, 1400 meters per second, is just there to navigate in these big spaces that we need to traverse, because we don't have the quantum code for that yet. So in terms of the thrusters, thruster flying, so this is not like a groundbreaking, we do everything else. It's just like an evolution of the previous stuff. So it's just like building on what we already have. So the main thing for combat flyers out there is that we're going to have a non-spheric velocity space. This means we can go forward faster than we can come backwards or to the sides. This has the benefit that these typical 6 degrees of freedom problems that we have in combat, like backstrafing or kiting, they're much reduced. From our perspective, this just feels better, like the fights are more closer and so on. Also,
this might be something that they're doing for the actual flight model of the ship, but I feel like for the longest time, they've really needed to nerf the strength of maneuvering thrusters. Going all the way back to 2.6, maneuvering thrusters could just, it was a matter of, if the thrusters could put out this thrust, the ship would respond in that way. And because we had such powerful thrusters for slowing us down or for counteracting gravity and stuff, they were super strong in space. So you could just move all directions in like such crazy ways. And I've always wanted them to make those not as powerful, because one, it would make things like rolling and moving around in space feel a little bit less like jerky, like jerking around everywhere, because you have super strong immediate acceleration thrusters. And then 2, in atmosphere, it would just, I think, make the gameplay a little more interesting. And that's kind of what they're doing here. So I'm very, very happy about this. We've been following this all the way back since that. I'm going to bring it up again, as I always do, the Invictus launch week, Star Citizen Live, I think 2022 was. No, was it 23? Was that 2 years ago? Oh, it was 23. It was 22. It was the one with the Scorpius on the thumbnail. And it was Richard Towler, the same person who's in the show right now. He got up in front of the camera and he told us basically about, here we go.
It has forward-facing lights, which allow
else to kind of do their work, but it's not going to be the primary source. So if you're flying a Gladius, for example, and you go really slow, it's just not going to have the power to kind of keep it up. And that's where the VTOL ship's going to come in, where they can transform and fly in VTOL and hover, and that's where they'll have the advantage.
So we've been waiting for this system to start kicking in since 2022, with Richard Towler introducing it to us, and I'm glad to see them finally doing it here. I can't wait to see how this changes flight and complicates things.
We added jerk. So jerk is the change of acceleration. So instead of going within a frame from 0G to 9G, we're ramping this up now over a short an amount of time, at least for the fighters. And this just makes sure that you have to plan a little bit more ahead, and the rotations feel smoother. What else is there? You can, oh yeah, and then we built in a lot of like different steps how to customize IFCS for you. So, so what you have in the game right now is more like an IFCS on training wheels, right? Where at the moment you can turn off a couple of assists like gravity compensation and G-save. And these things, in the future, they will actually always mean a little bit of like a buff in terms of like what your thrusters can do. So when you, what you have at the moment in our internal builds, you can turn off gravity compensation, you can turn off the stability. So the stability, for example, changes the behavior of IFCS and gives your lateral thrust more importance than the longitudinal thrust, which means when you're in fights, you are better. It's better for you to, or it's easier for you to evade shots. But at the same time, it makes the flying a little bit more dangerous because it doesn't keep the TVI stable anymore. Well, that's like now technical, more technical details. I'm sorry, you're falling asleep almost, right?
No, I was looking at iCore 102, who was like, "This doesn't sound like it's going to solve the problem." And you're like,
oh, yeah,
4 minutes into
sure.
into a 20-minute exploration.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, like, honestly, don't believe me. When it's available, play it, and then you can judge it properly. The other thing, which is a pretty big chunk, or makes also a big difference, is that we don't have top speeds anymore. And now, before you grasp, oh God, unrestricted speeds. No, there are still restricted speeds, but we don't. In the game data, we don't have any top speeds anymore. The top speed of a ship is what your thrusters can achieve in a fixed amount of time that we define. But the good thing is when you have your power assignment and you put more pips into your engines, your thrusters will actually produce more thrust. And more thrust means then more speed.
Bruh. This is so sweet to hear. It came up on the monthly report, I think, in March or February. And we got confirmation that what they were saying is what they meant. But this is like the real confirmation that we were going to be able to actually change the way that your ship performs based on engineering and components. And it was how a lot of folks hoped that they would do the thing that they were trying to do with master modes, which was like limit the power systems you're using at any given time. And this sounds like if you put less power towards thrusters and more power towards weapons, then you're going to fly slower. And I was kind of worried that they were going to not do this because the balance of this kind of system must be insane with all the different components and stuff. But this should, who knows how much faster you'll be able to go. You know, if you get the top components and you take all the things off your ship and you put all your power towards thrusters, can you make your 300 meter per second Gladius go 400 meters per second? I don't know. But the littlest bit of benefit can make a big difference in a game like this when you get to the higher levels of PvE or PvP. So it'll be cool to see how this works. It's also something that'll change industrial ships, cargo haulers and stuff. You'll be able to get out of atmosphere much more quickly if you have the right components or do the right engineering tuning or power transitioning and stuff like that. So this could be something that maybe doesn't call for an entirely independent engineer in your ship. Maybe it does because there are other things that they can do, but definitely it means that the people who pay attention to their ship will be able to benefit, but the people who don't maybe won't have such gigantic consequences.
Not some artificial speed limit that the universe has applied to you.
Well, you still have, we need speed limits. We're a game after all, right? But this basically means like, but because it's based on physics, what will happen is You have your Gladius and you fire a missile. You see, your overall weight of the Gladius reduced now, so your thrusts have the same thrust output, but your ship is now lighter, so you actually get more Gs. We had this before, but now you also get more speed based on this, right? And looking further ahead, I mean, this is like outside of the new flight model, but when we have Maelstrom and so on, we're also going to have like more realistic ship masses. At the moment, the Gladius weights
55 tons.
55 tons.
Yeah.
Our squadron weight.
It's a little bit heavy.
Our squadron Gladius was up at 180 tons, which is like close to a 747, right? But now the squadron Gladius is around 20 tons, which means like the weight of every missile and every component actually matters. So if you, for example, have your Gladius or any other ship, and you just rip out the most important components, you will just get much faster.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very relevant for like smaller craft.
Okay. What is much faster, dude? I don't think they have any numbers in mind. But I got to keep my excitement levels down. Yeah, it could be really cool. It could also be too much. Who knows? I have no idea where this could go, but we've also seen the entire ship component guide for Star Citizen, their ship customization guide. Components, powers, signatures, that kind of jazz. Holston Coop, thank you for the sub on Twitch, dude. 56 months total this guy has been out here. Also traveling the world. Appreciate you, man. It's like you see all the different components we have. All the different opportunities you have to switch up how your power management is going. All the different sizes they come in. The different classes and specializations that they might offer, and the different grades of quality that they come from. All of this to train your power systems, to run your signatures, to transition your coolant and heat. All of these things will combine. Dang it, are we getting that red? All of these things will combine to make ships just that much more different and interesting, and that's a lot. I'm going to go and try and get this capture card fixed. Be right back. Somebody asked about the Turkish PC thing. We lost a motherboard and a graphics card, and apparently, I guess, a capture card, as you can see on the screen here. I have no idea why. None of those things were removed from their PC cases. They were just sitting here, and we came back and they weren't working. So right now we are trying to fund the replacements for those things. So far we got the motherboard. Now we're working on the graphics card. Thank you, everybody. Aren't that just so minimal changes that they almost don't matter at all? Well, I don't know. Who knows what the changes will be? Weight influencing speed and agility. Well, if he's saying that like the ship is going to be, say, 20 tons, if you have two components that equal 1 ton, then you're going to get 1/20th of your weight. And if you remove those, and that could make a difference in speed, probably a couple meters per second, or at least turning potential. They already kind of have it right now where if you put cargo in your ship, it will change the way your ship. It'll change the way that your ship handles. I do unplug everything when we leave. So yeah, if you do want to help with that, exclamation point tip will make the command pop up. If you'd prefer to win something instead, exclamation point giveaway will make our Asgard giveaway pop up. So check that out. I'm going to go and try and get this screen fixed.
Important components, you will just get much faster.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very relevant for like smaller craft, maybe for racing as well.
Yeah,
like
for racing.
Having lighter components or removing weapons will, give you that extra window of performances that you can exploit throughout the race, right? So.
Right. So, and that is basically just the space part of this. On the control surface.
That is very. Ow! Oh my God, my knee! Ouch! God. That's very fair. This might be something that matters most to racers. Oh.
We have a full licensed pilot on the control surfaces for now, right? That's Kareem. So he's.
Oh, some people call for that. Some people say oftentimes they're like they need to get somebody who actually flies and does this sort of stuff into the team and working on the game. So now whenever you guys see somebody say that, you can let them know there is apparently.
He's working on the control surface support. What we have already ready is the unassisted aerodynamics flight, which means how the ship feels when you directly affect the deflection angles of the control surface. So you can glide, you can even like your ship can be entirely off and shut off. You still have control over your control surfaces, which means if you're getting distorted in atmosphere and you can actually glide down, you can flare and you can crash land your ship in a you can do a controlled crash landing, right? And so and the core on-off thing, which I just mentioned, we introduced a concept which is called the IFCS core. It means what you have right now in the game, where the ship is just constantly compensating for your rotation. This means the core is on, so IFCS is actively working for you. But IFCS in the future can be slapped down or even turned off, and in this case you don't have pure Newton flight. So also on the rotation, and this also happens when you, for example, crash into something. For example, on the Gladiators, let's say we know that the Gladiators cannot go above, let's say, 20 Gs. Then we might have a limit in the IFCS code that says, when that ship goes over 25 Gs, the course is slapped off for like a couple of seconds, and then it needs to reboot. So during this time, you still have control over your ship. You can still use the thrusters and so on, but it will not auto-stabilize yourself. So it's more or less like flying like a Kerbal Space Program. So it's which means you will tumble after every collision. The ship will not recover as fast, and whether the core is on or off also plays a role in atmospheric flight, because in atmospheric flight, when the core is on, we will have a fly-by-wire system that keeps the TVI stable. But when the core is off, you directly control the control surface directly.
Dude, this is going to add so much depth to being able to fly in different situations. I love it. They should watch Pixar's Plane. Unix, merhaba. Hoş geldiniz. 3060, let's see, what would that even be? Ich bin altında, no. Altmış. Ich bin altmış. İstiyoruz. I don't know. I'm getting that wrong. 3060 Ti is what we're trying to get. Jay Bird. Community is better because you're in it. The community is better because you're in it, dude. Unless that was for Wholesome Coop, which I understand if that's for Wholesome Coop. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you for 21 months support over on YouTube. Keep overcomplicating everything. I don't know. This seems like what people have been wanting. Like, people have been complaining that they haven't been doing much simulative stuff with their flight. This seems like right up the alley of Star Citizen, folks.
Off, you directly control the control surface directly. So that's
I want to jump in.
A lot. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to jump in and say, give Yogi a chance to catch his breath. That 20 and 25 thing; those were numbers off the top of his head to illustrate a point. No, don't go up and update Urkel and whatever. Like, it's going to have a 20 G. Only a 20 G tolerance. Blah, blah, blah.
This is just examples,
guys,
right? Just examples.
I actually really love the idea of rotation assist off. There have been so many different times when I want to film something or get like a nice shot. I know this is a very niche application, but when you are trying to get a good shot of something or just want to build the atmosphere of the movements you're doing, slow rotation on the spaceship is really cool. Also, it means you can manually change your rotation speed to match something else that's rotating, which you can't really do if it's just digital on or off for rotational thrusters. So I think that kind of control is actually really useful in a spacecraft. We all want to recreate that interstellar scene, right?
It's just an example.
This is great. I want these.
Yeah, what is that? I want one.
We might need it, to be fair.
Yeah.
The open space
like,
at the time.
All right.
Or like, hey, Mattia, I need something from you. I'm coming over.
So thrusters, atmospheric flight, control services, and the third one was?
Quantum experience. Yeah, quantum
Tell us about
experience
that.
will change because at the moment it's very clunky how we traveled through the game. So
yeah,
I think the best example is nav mode will die is probably the. So, but this is like.
Hold on, no. Look directly in that camera. Hold on. Look.
Which
and
one?
Say it
This
again.
one? This one, right?
Hold on. Go to Yogi's camera. There you go. Say it again.
nav mode will die.
How many Star Citizens are wetting themselves? This time last year, you couldn't leave the front door of your house without somebody running down the sidewalk to slap you and tell you that Master Mode sucked. So here is Yogi sitting in front of camera to tell everyone that Nav Mode is dying. And people said that this was going to save the game. Will it save the game? Who knows? But I have many comments saved that told me unless they get rid of Master Modes, the game will die. Without going into detail about what actually was ruining the time, which was the slow flight speeds. We will see if this actually remedies the problem that so many people had with Master Modes. I don't think it will, though. I think most people had a problem with the slow flight speeds and not the other mode. But let's hear about how this is going to go.
F's in chat for nav mode, everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason is more because like it's very clunky to traverse the verse. So the way how it's currently planned, I'm saying currently, it can change, right? Is
What? It can change?
Of course it can change, right? Like if we play it and it's not good, then we'll change it again. So, but the overall goal is to make the traversal through the verse very fluent. So the thing that will define whether you can do a quantum, if you can use a quantum drive or not, is just whether it's powered or not. And this is like a resource network problem. So if you select, for example, or if you set up your resources so that your quantum drive is not powered, you cannot use quantum. If it's powered, you can. And then it will be as easy as looking somewhere, holding a button, and off you go like we had in the past. So there won't be any mode switching anymore. There's no quantum drag that slows you down suddenly with 70 Gs or so. Yeah. So
again, those are the two things that made master modes master modes. One was the automatic and arbitrary lowering of the of conventional thrusters, and two was having to switch modes in order to get into quantum. They're going back to basically what it was before, where you would have your SCM mode, and then you would have your scanning mode, mining mode, salvage mode, whatever mode that you did within that SCM mode. Are we 3D again? Is it from here? There we go. Nope. Come on. Come on. Yep. Nope. Oh, God. I hate capture cards. Yes, I do. Oh, technology sucks. Come on. Come on. I can't fix it from here. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. I'm going to let this play. I need to go fix this.
Leave with 70 Gs or so. Yeah. So that will all be more fluent. And this is like, I'm not talking, it will be, we have most of this already in squadrons. It's actually on my to-do list on this week to rip nav mode out.
The PU?
No. No. So the way is like due to the time constraints we have in squadron, we first do these things in squadron, but everything we do on the flight model is directly moved to the code base of the PU. Basically, most of the stuff of the new flight model is already in the current 4.2 code.
Oh my God, guys. Everybody's got computer problems. It's not just you. Oh, look, his shirt's now it's suddenly pink. This is insane, dude. Try cleaning the contact points with alcohol if that fixes the issue of small oxidation buildup from condensation. I will check that out. Thank you. But I did not leave the graphics card you're seeing right now And the capture card you're seeing right now actually did not stay here. Everything that did not stay here is doing okay. And most of the stuff that didn't stay here is also, or that did stay here is also doing okay. It's just these two things for some reason. But this cannot. Come on, man. Pose. Dude. My GPU is not, this isn't my computer. This isn't my GPU, guys. I'm seeing everything fine on my computer. It's the USB device that is having problems with my streaming PC. I am not using the motherboard that was left here. I'm using a motherboard we just bought today. Courtesy of you guys. Oh, look. That's me. That's not what I wanted. Hi, it's me twice. I can't even see my capture card anymore. You're ruining the video, come on. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. I think we've lost this. I think this is no longer gonna work. I think just like in the space of 2 hours, my capture card has completely died. What the hell? All right, here's what I'm going to try and do. I am going to stream from my streaming PC. God, we go out and we get a motherboard to make this PC work, and then it doesn't matter. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, guys. Big surprise, the 3090 does not have more than one HDMI port, and I don't have another display. I'm going to have to stream and record on the same screen. I fucking hate streaming. Give me 1 second, guys. God, I fucking hate streaming! Okay. I'm gonna have to do everything from this screen. Let's see. I'm gonna have to pull up the video on here and find. Oy. I'm on the wrong Chrome page here. I'm just trying to finish this video at this point, guys. I'm gonna get off the stream as soon as we're done with this because this is pointless.
4.2.
Okay. Let me make sure you guys should be able to. Is this working? Yeah, okay. You guys can hear everything? Can you Turn the music off. I do not have access to chat anymore. All right.
But everything we do on the flight model is directly moved to the code base of the PU. Basically, most of the stuff on the new flight model is already in the current 4.2 code, but it's of course turned off. We will also not enable it until we have all things in place, including the ship tunings, because in the master mode release, Mattia mentioned that before, we had to go through all the ships very, very fast because we had this time window that we needed to commit to the master mode changes within 2.
I'm sorry. Is the camera is like completely I'm like half off the camera over here. There we go.
Months, right? For the new flight model, the data sits all in parallel. So, which means we can, I don't want to say take the time because, but you know, we don't need to rush the implementation or the tuning of the new ships because we don't want the ships to be as similar as they were before. We want to give them character, and we don't need to rush this out because we can have the old and the new flight model data side by side without destroying each other, unless you do an integration wrong like I did. There was a little buff to the Gladius, which was due to an integration which I messed up, and I apologize for that. So
yeah, you guys are so fast in catching up with those changes, man.
Yeah, but instantly
he did this mistake. So 20 minutes later, there were like 20 videos on YouTube, and 20 seconds later, I fixed the issue, and it was
what? I didn't.
Again,
Let's be real honest here. So there are 3 levels of anything that sort of happens in Star Citizen at any given time, anytime a patch comes out. One is we've put a thing out there, it's working as intended, and that is either great or we learn a lesson. Yeah. We learn a lesson, and it's like with master modes and whatever. It's like, okay, well, it changed things, and that's as it should be and whatnot. And I'm proud to say that I can honestly say that's what happens most of the time. Then there's the second scenario where we do a thing, we put it out, and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to because of a bug. There's some other competing system that it integrated into our work, and suddenly like it worked great on my build and here, and then it got into everything else in the PU, and it doesn't work right. Some underlying system is screwing up. There's some rare use case that is being used to exploit it, whatever. It's like, it's like, we wish it's like it kills us because this thing we just put out doesn't perform exactly the way that we wanted it to because of something that was out of our control at the moment. And then there's the third one where sometimes we typed a 7 and we meant a 9.
Yeah.
And that goes out there and you're like, wait, why is that doing that? And it's like,
They did that with the release date.
oh no.
That was me.
Oh no.
Usually it's our fault.
Yeah,
this time.
Oh no.
But we have very tiny keyboards, so it's like we need just bigger ones.
You know, and it's one of those things like, sure, you might not hear an admission like that at EA or Activision or whatnot. I guarantee you it happens everywhere. But yeah, we're human. We're human, and sometimes we do those things. Those things happen more often than not. There's a number of times, like you just said, Mattea, where we're watching a streamer, or watching a YouTube, going, wait, that's not how that's supposed to go. Yep. You go and you're like,
oh no.
I mean, we had a case of something similar just with with the 4.2 release, like the ground turbulence.
Oh, the ground turbulence
was meant to be in there for 6 months. We didn't notice that there was a bug in the noise generator. Well, it wasn't really a bug. It was just me not being careful enough, right? Where it basically did not work on live environments because the time difference is bigger, right? Because in our environment, in our dev environments, it's the time since we started the game. In the live environment, it's the time since 1970. So
yeah, the variable was too large in order.
Yeah, so the value was too large for the noise generator to actually give us a value.
Yeah.
Good year 1970.
For us, and
Can somebody please let them know there's also a bug where we can't do the courier missions, and we'd like those back, please? Thank you.
It's great. Works on my machine.
Yeah, it works on my machine.
But this happens.
There are people out there who will take admissions like that and stories like that as some indicator of not being professional or not knowing what we're doing and whatever. And if you're choosing to take it that way, you know, God be with you. You can do whatever you want, that stuff. I prefer to always present our stuff as honest and as human, as like that. We make mistakes just like anybody else, and we have our share. So does everybody. I think maybe we're just a little more candid about it sometimes.
Yeah, but thanks for pointing out. Like for us, honestly, especially these days in DPU, we tend to keep up with, or try to keep up with a lot of feedbacks and data, even from the community run tool as well, right? So guys keep shouting and letting us know what is not working. And
we're good at that. we know the shouting. We got you covered, man. Tristan, thank you for the kind words. Honestly, I lost my cool a little bit there, guys. I'm sorry. Computers have been really getting to me over the last week. I apologize for the untomato words. I don't hate streaming. I just hate using computers to stream. I wish I could stream from a water bottle. These things, you ride these for miles and they never fail you. Computers, though.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's not just the content creators and stuff. Issue Council.
Yep.
Oh my God, can you imagine this project without Issue Council?
Honestly, like often I see people thinking that the Issue Council is not and what I mean by people, I mean outside of the company, is not a useful tool. But honestly, for us, like having issues with repro step videos and having directly a ticket in Jira, then I can act upon immediately, asking directors, labeling, can we fix this for this release and so on and so forth. It's super helpful. So keep up the quality of the IC report, guys, because that's gonna help a lot.
Right.
Pass a lot. Yeah.
We've got 15 minutes left. I want to get to some more of these questions from the community here. This question's worded a little bit, but it's basically saying capital ships in atmosphere, WTF? Like everybody's seen the terrible, everybody's seen that Polaris or that Idris. You're trying to do a line of mine, you're trying to do a Stormageddon, whatnot.
What the heck is that, man?
It's just capitals in atmosphere. Any hope?
There's quite a ship of Polaris, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
This was basically the role model for the Polaris.
Okay, so I know what you want to say. Okay, so the vertical thing, right? Tell
us about thrusters.
Like, nobody wants that, right? CR doesn't want that. Like he had a talk with me last week, right? But this is also something we probably will only fix with the new flight model. I don't want to say, it's going to be fine in the future, but it is the plan for this, right? So right now, when you're in atmosphere, we have something called thruster efficiency curves, and the efficiency of your thrusters goes down by about 50% in the highest case. In the future, that efficiency will be much, much lower. So what you can expect that if you have a ship, let's say, give me a ship with VTOLs, I don't know, Cutlass, right?
Raft.
Let's say Cutlass, yeah. So if you have the Cutlass, right? You can expect that when the Cutlass, the Cutlass is like a light transport, so it will not be as punishing probably. But let's say, does the Idris have VTOLs?
Yes.
Idris have VTOLs?
Yes, but they don't work in game. But
okay, cool.
They will do.
Okay,
E2.
fine. So let's say the Idris is landed. Then you will get a message on the heads-up display that tells you what your thrust to weight ratio against gravity is, and if that ratio is below 1, you will not be able to take off. And this is then
hell yeah, brother.
Account the mass of the ship, how much it is loaded on it. So if you have your cargo full of lead cubes, let's say that, right? Then it is possible that you will not be able to take off. So now
it's possible, not a guarantee.
It's not a. It's.
You can overload.
You can overload, and then you will not be able.
Sorry, these are good words to me. I like this kind of
stuff.
You
may try to boost, because boost gives you like vertically, I think like something like 35% more thrust. You can put more power into your engine, so you get this natural resource network-based buff in your engines, but. You will have a hard time just hovering like this, right? And at the same time, because these are your strongest thrusters, but your retros are usually a lot weaker than the other thrusters. So if you do this, you will eventually just sink down. That's at least the plan, right? So you can expect that larger ships will be harder to fly and to land in atmosphere. We will try to give players helpers so that new players don't just like crash land this thing, right? But still, like,
see, okay, this is where my question comes in. This is why I asked the question I did. What is, like, and maybe they don't know this. It's hard to imagine, maybe they still don't have the answers exactly to how this hovering will work, given they need the heat system and engineering to make it work. But I don't know. I would love to hear, what kind of threshold are you guys thinking for players being worried about hovering and how long they can hover
There's
for?
still there's still physics, and like the reason why the ships can hover at this moment is because they have so much thrust that they can. Because all they need to do is to be able to hover in 1G, or let's say on Earth, right? When that is not guaranteed anymore, then you automatically have like a more realistic and harder situation there.
And that's coming tomorrow?
That's not coming tomorrow. I'm not gonna, Jared, no when question, no. But seriously, like we're really keen to put this over as fast as possible. But so the space flight model is done. The aerodynamic stuff is halfway done because the fly-by-wire is not completely done. And what we need on the control surfaces that's left is the ability of AI to use control surfaces. That's like a relatively complex project, but I'm confident that we can solve that in the next couple of weeks. And then there is the quantum experience. When all these things...
Did he just tell us that there was a complex problem they could solve in a couple weeks? Yogi.
The ability of AI to use control surfaces. That's like a relatively complex project, but I'm confident that we can solve that in the next couple of weeks.
Yogi.
And then there is the quantum experience. When all these things are done, and then it's the first time we can actually let players test this thing in a PU environment. But this is not for tomorrow, or also not for like...
Until then, can we just make it so that if you're in a Polaris or an Idris and you do this in atmosphere, you just instantly go to Kleischer?
I can, but then you're not going to be able to slow down very fast.
Get a race.
Or like
No. I just teleport the pilot right to Kleischer.
No. I don't think that means they're going to deliver it in the next couple weeks. Of course not. They don't have a reason to deliver it in the next couple weeks. A complex problem being solved in a couple of weeks sounds fast for a project like Star Citizen.
They're doing this in atmosphere, just that would be what I do, and that's why I'm not a designer, and they don't put me in charge of anything.
Citizen.
Rich, you mentioned turrets earlier. Are there any plans to make industrial ship turrets be a viable deterrent, or will they remain a mostly useless POS?
Slightly subjective question.
It's very subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll just be useless.
I'm adding my own spin to some of these things because I have feelings of my own.
Yep. So the whole point of those turrets is, the ships can't defend themselves with guns. So we've got turrets that, we want the ships to be able to defend themselves with turrets. We are working on the kind of general turret experience and how kind of powerful the turrets are as well. And we made some changes. Was it last release? Yeah.
In general, like with the engineering,
so we buffed them up.
We buffed the ammo, we buffed maybe some regen rates for specific ship as well. So.
Yeah. But there's this other thing, like the thing that we're currently lacking is effective medium range weaponry. Right now, because a turret that fires projectile, just like it's just the
normal gun projectiles.
This is a gun projectile. The thing is, like, we don't want to twist like the projectile after we launched it, right? So what we need is like some medium range weaponry. We have a plan for this. Like, we would like to try out flak at some point, but it's not ready for multiplayer yet. But it can range so it can be effective beyond the range where normal gun turrets are effective. I mean, I guess the question comes mostly from, I have this large ship and I'm getting shot at by fighters which keep their distance. But the other thing is, like, coming to more like Torsten's work concerning like the armor system and so on. There's also the question of like if smaller ships will actually be a danger for larger ships, because we are going to have like penetration parameters on the bullets, and we're going to have armor and so on. So a lot of these weapons that people use at the moment to damage larger ships, they might not be able to damage them in the future. It's like if you have
we're hearing so much about things like armor and engineering and ship systems and all this stuff, and it's just like the year of playability, all these features being worked on, we haven't seen any of them yet. God, I hope they start using the EPT.
The pistol and shoot at the tank. The tank says, well, okay, right? So if the ships want to do actual damage on the ships, they probably need to get so close in the future that they can destroy precisely the subsystems. But that's like, this is a little bit outside of like...
then that, of course, provides more utility to some of these heavy fighters that are designed to take on the larger ships.
Yeah.
Like the Ares.
And then you need the light fighters to kill the heavy fighters, and chess and E-War and
Exactly.
And stuff like that. I want to see if we can do at least 4 more. So I'm limiting you
to 1
to
second.
90 seconds.
I should not babble.
Answer, sir, because I want to hit more of these things before we go. He's got an airplane. He's got to catch.
Right.
Weather is in 4.2 for or the next iteration of it. Weather affecting ship's ability to fly?
Yes, it's in there. You can try it. Larger ship in general should be less affected by weather effects, and smaller ship clearly more. And yeah, you can try that. The effects already that Yogi and Ethan have been trying to smash through and testing and trying already in 4.2. So
Fly into clouds, have fun.
yep, have fun in clouds. Yep, big fun.
And of course, that's this next iteration of it. It'll continue to evolve as more weather conditions.
Yes,
come in.
yes, especially also with when we're going to update the atmospheric system as well. Clearly, we're going to have to adapt everything.
Okay.
Rain.
Recent changes to missiles and torpedoes.
Yeah.
Are you happy with? How it's still in PTU right now? Hasn't gone to live yet.
Yes. So for the targeting system, we are quite happy. It hasn't been easy to kind of try to find a sweet spot for the targeting params of missiles specifically. Also with torpedoes, the safety improvements to avoid certain unwanted behavior like them firing torpedoes too close to a couple of ships are in place. And we are looking forward to players testing them and stress testing them as well. But in general, we are quite happy. Yeah.
What about the thing where they fire the missile or torpedo, but they keep moving forward?
Yes.
And the distance.
Yeah. So basically, how it's currently working, it's the safety distance is calculated between the torpedoes that you launch and your ship itself. So if your ship is moving and the torpedo is moving, and you're not 1.5 kilometers away from the torpedo won't detonate. But however, this is not the intended final direction that we want. We have already spoke with all these peeps and PAT and Team Johnny as well for some updates on the safety mechanics based mostly on the distance traveled of the torpedoes and also some safety
From
check.
the moment it was launched.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the big change right now because of this.
So it's important to say that we wanted to try this stuff first because that was basically the parameter that we had in place actually since a lot of time in order to see how the gameplay dynamics are looking. And now that we know that this is kind of the direction that we want to dive into, we can further work.
So right now, if you follow your torpedo missile, and you're too close, it'll just never arm, and that sucks. You want it to start that distance timer to start from the moment you launch it, and then if you choose to get too close to it when it explodes, that's on you, pilot. That's where we're going. Okay.
That's what she said.
Ground vehicles. Why do they suck?
Wow, it's very
Oh
subjective,
boy.
yeah.
I feel like that's on the planet
obviously
side of
we made
things.
A big kind of change
not
to ground
entirely.
vehicles. So we changed the fundamental physics of the ground vehicles. But that still doesn't mean they're finished. They are still subject to the same kind of physics as the rest of the game. And we do know that the general collisions don't feel very good. And we do want to improve that. But also we want to give more purpose to the ground vehicles as well. And that just isn't the ground vehicle itself, it's the guns or it's the torpedoes on the ground vehicle. So it's about improving those systems as well, so players have more of a reason to choose them. Especially as we have more environments in the game that, they may limit where ships can go, they may limit where ground vehicles can go. And, also you may want to use ground vehicles to defend a certain area. So, if you've got a ballista, you can have ballistas and protect an area. But that isn't just making that ground vehicle physically good, it's the systems on it, it's the torpedoes and, and how that, those kind of systems generate the gameplay we want.
That's why already we try to bespokely tune the ballista torpedoes and missiles to kind of fit more into the anti-air role, as well as the Centurion turret, by the way. Now the turret has gimbals as well, so it has more ranges, has more ammo, to try to enhance the peculiarities of the anti-air vehicles as well.
Any hope for some kind of throttle control or something on ground vehicles?
That'd be great.
Is it still just a press and you go to your top speed? Can we?
I think it's somewhere in some to-do list, but it's compared to other things, it's relatively low.
Being able to fine-tune that control and whatnot.
Yeah, but this is like in the. It is somewhere as a ticket. I think in my list even. I don't know. But it's like compared to other things like really low priority.
It's like 4 years away kind of ticket.
For now.
Adjustable ground speed.
That's it. That's our time. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for tuning in to Starson Live, Vehicle Flight and Balance. Yogi, Mattia, and Rich, as always, thank you for taking the time out of your Thursday to come. Yogi, you literally have a flight. You have a taxi waiting to take you to the airport and go. Thank
What's
you
the
for.
time now?
You've got 3 minutes.
See, got 3 minutes.
I'm doing my wrap up, but trying to convince him to do a show. It's like, I've got to leave for an airport. I'm like, I promise I'll make it in time. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for talking so in depth about the flight model stuff. If just judging from the Twitch chat, I think a lot of folks are anticipating those things. For folks in the various marketing stuff, yes, Alien Week does launch today. That should launch in roughly 2-ish minutes. Those people are doing that. That's the Alien Week promotion where all those alien ships come back, and the new Asperia Prowler utility, which will have a BTS episode that goes live on YouTube in just a minute. And you're
the old BTS.
that. And yes, Virginia, it's true. It's more accessible, and it's not nearly as wallet prohibitive as the original Prowler. Also, lots of improvements to the original Prowler. You want to check out the Q&A for the Prowler utility, and we go through a bunch of the improvements we've made to the Prowler along with this work. So check that stuff out. For SCL, I'm Jared. That's been Rich.
Wait, is that confirmed that the Prowler got updates along with this? Can anybody confirm that? Did it get like a gold pass or brought up to the same standards as the new Prowler came in? Because that would be a good change to some of the variants type of ships they've been doing. I guess when they are variants, they tend to do the update. When they're slightly different from variants, then they don't. Weird choices.
That's been Mattia. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. No show next week. Bye, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
No show next week. We just got a good show. Their content this year is killing me, man. But this is a solid update. I mean, this gave us some information on the flight model, a little bit more detail than what we got in December. Clearly, they're still working on the design of it, which is why we're not getting all the details, and they're going to have some inside Star Citizen to do on it before we see it. But it's getting good work, guys. I just don't know what the heck's going on. There are several really major features in the works, from control surfaces to engineering to Planet Tech V5 to Starkitect, base building, crafting, scanning and radar. All of these are things that we are seeing they're working on. But we're not getting regular sprint reports or inside Star Citizens that are giving us these momentary updates on them. We get these occasional Star Citizen lives like this. So the delivery of this news is a lot different, and it's a lot less paced than it has been in previous years. And it's hard to even try and think of when any of this stuff will show up, because it could be any of these things coming first. It sounds like it's engineering and radar and scanning. But it's just so weird. It's so different from how we normally go through this cycle of learning the development. That being said, though, I do think that we should be keeping an eye out for engineering on the EPTU. And I think that really, I don't think the summer is going to be as slow as it always is. But I do think that this period in between 4.2 and 4.2.1, or even 4.3, is going to be a little slower than the last couple of months. But what do you think? Y'all think the flight model sounds like it's headed in a better direction in your mind? Do you not like what it's doing? Or is this what you always thought should be done? Do I think that Squadron can make it out next year? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Should it? I don't know. It's not necessarily about the players buying it. It's how many eyes can see it. The more people are talking about it, the better it is for the product. That's what it's all about these days. A game can be such a big success if people just talk about it. It's crazy. I mean, look at a game like Expedition 33. Not like they had a huge marketing campaign that pushed them out and got them a ton of sales. They just made a good game and people loved it and they talked about it. It's never been, I'm not a doctor. I haven't been here since the beginning of humankind, but I don't feel like word of mouth has ever been as powerful as it is right now. It's just actually insane the grassroots attention that something can get based on general excitement around it. So I'll be interested in seeing if Squadron 42 can actually be good enough to grab people's attention for a unique reason, not just for being a pretty game, not just being for being a space game, and definitely not for being the game that was delayed 12 years. If it actually has something that sets it apart and catches people's attention, Squadron 42 could be an absolute massive success for them, especially if they can get it on the console. Going to make transitioning to QT much smoother. I'll be interested in seeing something I talked about with Ferrister on the podcast was, is there still going to be a transition over to the quantum travel mode with operator mode, you know? Yeah, they're removing that transition to nav mode, but will they keep it in for the quantum travel that you're still doing, or will it just be a blank quantum travel experience? That'd be really cool. Star Citizen finally released and it's a single player game. Yes, you caught them. You think there's enough Star Wars and sci-fi and flight sim lovers for Squadron 42 to be huge? Part of me thinks that they're going to actually have to make Squadron 42's flight model easier than Star Citizen's to really get all those people. It has an amazing cast. It's got a unique premise and setting. It's got way more time, money, and effort poured into it than most games get to. So, like, everything makes it feel like it could be really big. Hey, Brigadier, good to see you in chat, dude. All right, y'all. I'm going to wrap this up. Chief Tygon, thank you so much for finishing off the stream with a sub. 6 months he's been subbed up. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. And anybody else who helped us work towards getting this graphics card. Today is the last day I'm going to put this goal up. As you can see, it's like 6 hours till it's complete. I think we got close enough. I am going to see what kind of strings we can pull and land ourselves a graphics card, and that should allow us to get back our computer that does all the podcast editing and that kind of stuff. But this has been good. Besides, you know, all the tech problems. It's a good talk, a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, got some entertainment out of it. Maybe a couple laughs here and there. I do appreciate a courtesy pity laugh whenever I make a joke. That's much appreciated. And like, hopefully this was, I genuinely don't know what people expect, but I hope this was the kind of session you'd expect to hear from Space Tomato. I genuinely, people come in wanting the best, and we strive to supply it. All right, y'all. Like you get to see me actually raid you out this time. Like I said, thank you again for being here. You're all wonderful people. I'm going to send you over to Aldo Brink. Looks like he's testing out the PTU out on Pyro in the midst of the Stormbreaker activity. I'm going to send you over there and give you one last thanks for being here. I'll be with you tomorrow, Saturday. Probably hop in and do some gameplay. Maybe we'll do a small group kind of thing with GII. I don't really know. I do know I'm going to need to get a capture card for it. So if I can't get the capture card, we might cancel tomorrow's stream. If we can, I hope to see you there. Either way, thanks for being here. You're great people. Treat yourselves well. Eat something you love. Do something you love. Go find somebody you love. Give them a hug. You know, all the things. Treat yourselves like you deserve, which is good. All right. Enough of that. Bye-bye.